while.
Well, hello there. As you see, we're a little bit backwards on here tonight. I ran out of my StreamYard hours, which I knew I would.
I don't know how to fix I don't know how to make it.
So, she usually has it mirrored, but she's not sure. Maybe in the settings there.
I see the dashboard. Oh no. I'm messing with things.
She's messing with things. Oh no.
Okay, that's not. No,
Let's see.
All the settings are. Share screen.
Bear with us, guy. Can you guys hear us and everything okay?
Tell me what to do.
I was thinking settings right there.
Mom,
maybe
I just clicked that.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Cactus.
Cactus in the house. Cactus in the house. Linda in the house. Eric's in our house. um, let's see. Just bear with us, guys. How about customization? It's not now? Okay. Okay, well, I don't know. We're just going to have to deal with it the way it is. Like I said, guys, we're trying to right directly through YouTube tonight because I ran out of StreamYard hours, but good volume and picture, good. So do you think it might be better this way to go on? Does it seem better right straight through YouTube?
I think it's probably not
not what's that mean? I don't know what that means.
So we're live right now, right? But on StreamYard it was like a minute behind, or it was like a few minutes.
So we're
behind.
like live on this.
I think that we're live.
Okay. So you think it's better maybe to go this format?
I think so.
Don't mind my stuff back there. That stuff. Don't mind that stuff. That's my junk right there. Okay, let's get started, guys. As everybody know, we usually start. Yeah, those are boxes and that from Christmas that we just haven't carried up and put away yet. So just deal with it. Anyhow, we got to 31 today. Now, we were supposed to be under a winter storm. We were under a winter storm warning for a couple days, and then we were under a winter storm advisory. We really hardly got anything. We maybe tops 2 or 3 inches, if that. Our roads have been bare. We did get up to 31-ish today. Right now it's 23, and we're supposed to get to 16. We're supposed to have snow in the morning, but we're supposed to hit 45 degrees tomorrow, 43 on Thursday, 52 on Friday, 60 degrees on Saturday. But then we're supposed to go back down to 39 on Sunday again with some more snow. So this is why we're getting sick, and this is why my lungs aren't back to normal the way, or pretty decent yet. So there she goes again. What do you do? Goodness gracious, goodness gracious.
Let me try this real quick. Okay,
no, that took it like in DOS mode.
Oh no. Don't worry, we're still here.
Goodness gracious. Bear with Gabriella. She's up and down and in and out.
I don't know how to get out of this now.
Maybe just click on the screen itself again. There you go.
Oh, okay.
I knew you'd figure it out. Okay.
Let's try one more thing.
Oh. Well, I like that.
Why are we... Okay, that was weird. We like froze for a second.
There we go. But then you can see my...
Yeah, but now we can't see our comments.
Well, yeah, let's just do... We're good. Goodness gracious. Okay, before we go into our subject of the night, for all of our lurking spirit lurkers out there and spirit talkers, we have, drum roll, we have on the 14th an investigation. And that's thanks to some nice donations from a few super, super nice people. So I don't know if you want us to say who, but thank you guys. Without helping, without that being possible, we have an investigation coming up. The first hint that I can give is it is a place that Travel the Dead was at. And Abby did post on our Lurking Spirits channel that she's going to put a hint each day and see if you guys can figure out. Now, I know a couple of you I have mentioned where we were trying to get in. So if you remember, and you'll figure it out easily. So
I really wish I could switch this because it's driving me nuts.
For the reverse, you mean?
Yeah.
She doesn't.
I'm not on that side. I'm on this side.
I should get rid of those boxes. That's driving me nuts. It makes it look like pig.
Ah, so that's what picture in picture does. We don't want that. I tried the inspect thing.
Okay, guys, I'm going to start. If you're curious what tonight's topic is, everybody heard of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and the whole story. Most of you know the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the wheelchair, the shaved head, the devoted mother, the lies, the murder. It became one of the most shocking true crimes cases in modern history, a story of medical abuse, control, and a daughter who believed there was only one way out. But tonight, we're asking a different question. What if there was another case unfolding quietly that looked eerily similar? Another young girl, another narrative of illness, another parent controlling the story, another life shaped by dependency and isolation. And what if that situation had gone unchecked, if no one had stepped in, if the truth hadn't surfaced within 18 months, we might be talking about another headline, another trial, another daughter sitting in a courtroom. Tonight, we're comparing the case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard to that of Hannah Milbrandt, a story that some believe could have taken the same tragic path, but didn't, thank God. Was it intervention? Was it timing? Was it awareness? Or was it simply a matter of one rose being pruned before the thorn drew blood? This isn't about sensationalism. It's about patterns. It's about warning signs. It's about how easily control can disguise itself as care. Because every rose has its beauty, but every rose also has its thorn.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So let's talk about it.
Do I still have that scratch on my face?
It's very, very, very light. She was sitting in our living room today and she got a scratch. And look, my hair looks bad. And she doesn't know where it came from. Abby was sitting in our living room the other day and she got a scratch. Doesn't know where on her arm. She doesn't know where it came from. But
and I thought it was my nails. Mom thought it was my nails and Abby thought it was my nails. But I went like this on my other cheek. And it's like right like from my lip up.
And it was almost like to the point of breaking skin.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, okay, I am going to do, everybody knows pretty much the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, but I'm going to do like a recap. We're not going to go into the whole details and everything. I'm going to do a recap, a breakdown of the timeline of what happened, and then Gabriella is going to do the Hannah Milbrandt, and we'll see some of the similarities there between it, and then we'll be able to discuss and openly debate what if. Do you think if it would have went further? Like we'll kind of bring it into debate about the similarities and differences and the what ifs and what nots and stuff between the two. So Gabby trying to cover for her cat bullying her again. If only it was the cat this
I
time.
wish it was.
I thought maybe she scratched herself, that she went and she scratched herself. She said no, so
my nails are very dull.
Okay, so let's
look. They're not even putting scratch marks on the tablecloth.
So let's go into the story here because, well, now YouTube shouldn't limit the time, right? But
it would go live on here for 24 hours.
Okay. I didn't think that they did them at the time, but okay, let's go with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Now we know her mother. Well, we'll get into that. Timeline of events: 1991 was her birth year. July 27th, 1991, she was born in Golden Meadow. Her mother was Dee Dee Blanchard. Her father was Rod Blanchard. In 1990s, her early medical claims, Dee Dee had claimed Gypsy had leukemia, muscular dystrophy, severe asthma, developmental delays. Gypsy was placed into a wheelchair and fed through a feeding tube. Many of these diagnoses were later proven false. Gypsy underwent numerous unnecessary medical procedures. 2005, Hurricane Katrina happened. The family relocated after claiming medical records were destroyed. They settled in Springfield. Habitat for Humanity built them a brand new home. Community donations and charity support increased. In the 2000s, the public image, Gypsy was presented as mentally and physically disabled. She met celebrities and she received gifts from charities. Privately, she began realizing she was not ill as her mother claimed. Later diagnosed by expert as a likely case of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, now they call it factitious disorder imposed on another, FDIA. I like the Munchausen better. 2012 to 2015, she had an online secret life. Gypsy secretly accessed the internet. She met Nicholas Godejohn on a Christian dating site. Their relationship turned romantic and then conspiratorial. Gypsy confided in him about her abuse. June 2015, the murder took place. June 14th, 2015, Dee Dee Blanchard was stabbed to death in her home. Nicholas Godejohn committed the stabbing. Gypsy fled with him to Big Bend. They were arrested days later. 2016 to 2019, trials and sentencing. Gypsy accepted a plea deal in 2016. 2016, sentenced to 10 years in prison for second-degree murder. And in 2019, Nicholas Godejohn was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. 2017 to 2019, media spotlight started. HBO released the documentary Mommy, Dead, and Dearest. Hulu released the dramatized series The Act. The case became one of the most discussed true crime stories in America. In 2023, she was released. December 28, 2023, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released on parole after serving about 8 years. Immediately, she re-entered public life and social media. She gave interviews discussing her abuse, accountability, and rebuilding her life. Now, there's many themes about this case. There was the medical child abuse, the coercive control, the manipulation and trauma bonding, and the moral debate. Was she victim or perpetrator? And we will get into that because there's this topic is so controversial surrounding her. The other one's pretty much open and closed, but still similar. This one has so much controversy behind it, and some of her behavior now that she's out of jail kind of makes things a little suspicious, but we'll talk about that when we get the two together.
It's cold in here.
I have this right here. Put this on.
I'm cold.
Yeah, you are. Put that on. And that's warm. Um, Psychological breakdown of Dee Dee. Now, Dee Dee was if you watch the series The Act, her mother was real hard on her too. So when they look back on it, they said the likely diagnosis, factitious disorder imposed on another, or Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Her mother probably had that because her mother did a lot of the same things to her, but not quite to the caliber that Dee Dee did it to Gigi, to Gypsy. This order involves falsifying or inducing illness in someone under your care. So this, in case you don't know exactly what Munchausen syndrome by proxy is, seeking attention, sympathy, praise, or financial benefit, maintaining control through dependency. And while Dee Dee was never formally diagnosed, she was killed before they got the final evaluation on her. Multiple medical professionals and investigators strongly suspected that she did indeed have that syndrome. Her patterns of control, infantilization. She told people Gypsy's mental age was 7 or 8 years old. She lied about her real birth year. She shaved her head to mimic chemotherapy. She forced baby-like voice and behavior on her. Isolation. They moved frequently. She claimed medical records were destroyed in Hurricane Katrina. She limited Gypsy's outside relationships. She controlled her phone, internet, and mobility. And medical manipulation. She fabricated leukemia, muscular dystrophy, seizure disorder, sleep apnea, brain damage, forced wheelchair use despite knowing that Gypsy could easily walk, had a feeding tube surgically inserted into her. Matter of fact, there's one I confirmed. She had her salivary glands altered. She authorized unnecessary surgeries and medications. Now they were looking at possible motivations. Attention from doctors, charities, and churches. She would have got the financial benefits from donation, free trips, and free housing. She had emotional power and control. Identity built around being the hero mother, because she did get praised of how great of a mother she was.
See, I don't have this type of information for the other one.
Well, I did have this whole timeline, so I mean, they might not really have one on there. I don't know. Some people believe she thrived on praise, sympathy, community admiration, and she was viewed publicly as a saint, as a really great mother. What Gypsy went through leading up to the murder. In her childhood, she was told she had cancer as a toddler. She had her teeth removed due to unnecessary medications. Now, if you watch The Act, it said because she knew that she could eat regular food instead of going through the feeding tube, and that she was told that she couldn't eat sugar or any kind of snacks. And when she knew that she was able to, they claim on there that rotted her teeth. But according to the facts, it said it was because of the unnecessary medication she was put on. She had her salivary gland surgically altered. She had that feeding tube placed, and she was in and out of the hospital frequently. By adolescence, she was wheelchair bound publicly. She was medicated heavily. She had no formal education. She was not allowed to question doctors at all. She was told she couldn't walk, even though she could, and later she realized that she could. And in her young adult years, she discovered she could walk. She discovered her real age. She realized many illnesses were fake. She physically restrained when she resisted. She claims of being chained to the bed after attempting to run away. So she did try to escape because people say, well, when you knew you could walk, why didn't you try to escape? She did. And her mother got her, took her back, and apparently chained her to her bed.
Now, that part is in the movie.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
She went to that guy's house, and then as soon as she came back, she
punished her, and then she sedated her heavily too at that point. Threats from Dee Dee that police would believe her over Gypsy. So even if she went to the police or somebody else, her mother had her believing that nobody's going to believe her. Then she started that secret online life. That's where she met Nicholas Godejohn. She explored her sexuality secretly. She began fantasizing about escape. She tried away once, but was returned and punished. Then she finally believed that murder was the only way out. And Nicholas told her that he did have two personalities. And right from the get-go, he told her the one personality was evil and would be capable of killing, would be capable of murdering someone. I hope I don't get, will I get flagged on that for saying that? The murder happened in June 2015. Gypsy unlocked the door for Nicholas. He stabbed Dee Dee while she hid in the bathroom. Then they fled to Wisconsin. An arrest followed after a Facebook post from Dee Dee's account raised suspicion. Now, here's the debate. It goes victim or manipulation. The argument Gypsy was a victim acting out of desperation. She had a lifetime of medical abuse. She had psychological captivity. She had no autonomy. She had failed escape attempts. There was trauma bonding there. She learned helplessness. That was a normal way of life for her. She felt authorities wouldn't believe her. And Nicholas carried out the physical act. Supporters say she didn't see any other way out. But the argument, Gypsy was not powerless. The argument was because she could walk, she had internet access, she planned the murder, she purchased the knife, she coordinated the travel, she stayed with Nicholas afterward. She could have exposed the fraud publicly. Every time she did try to speak up, Dee Dee was able to step in the way. Now that she could walk, she had internet access, she admitted to all that. She said she bought the knife. She said she planned the murder step by step. Matter of fact, they discussed it in detail. She told him, now you got to do this and make sure. She went in detail telling him exactly how to commit the murder. So
she planned it.
Yeah. And she admitted it. She said that was one of the things that I think that got her,
it was her
the lesser
to make the Facebook post.
So, I mean, people were saying, well, no, she helped, she knew more about the murder than what she said. No, she admitted that she planned it every step of the way. There's no, well, suppose or question or theory. She said she planned it all. Critics argue that abuse does not justify premeditated murder. It doesn't, but taking the circumstances, we weren't, the old saying, if you could walk a mile in my shoes. After a certain amount of time, having your teeth pulled out, having your head shaven, told you had cancer, having to be in a wheelchair, knowing that you're lying to people and getting money by lying to people, not being able to have any friends. I'm not, nobody's condoning what happened. She even said that she wished she could turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can't. The gray area, the legal system reflected this complexity. Gypsy, 10 years, she served only 8. Nicholas got life without parole. Questions that still divide people. Was this self-defense? Was it coercion? Did she manipulate Nicholas? Was she both victim and perpetrator? Should abuse mitigate murder? Now, Nicholas apparently said he was on the spectrum, and they're claiming that she took advantage of that. Well, in actuality, she had, even though she was how can I say it? She had no formal education, so that made her mental age a lot lower, even if she's not on the spectrum. So she would have been thinking on the lines of a kid because she had no outside life. Had she been going to school and actually getting educated and really learning the true right and wrong methods, she probably would have went a different way. But using Godejean, she only thought of him as a confidant, friend, lover, somebody that actually believed everything that was happening to her, which was actually happening to her. So, am I defending her? Absolutely not. Is she defending herself? Absolutely not. She said she's guilty. She said she wishes she could, you know, whatever. Um, Psychological complexity. Gypsy grew up conditioned to lie, conditioned to perform, conditioned to depend, and conditioned to fear. So when survival is built around deception, moral lines blur. And that couldn't be more perfectly said because the way she was raised, what was fed into her. We watched a show where this little kid, it was an influencer was involved. That could be another story we can do in the future. And they had the little boy, he was 12.
Mm-hmm.
He finally got away and went to a neighbor's and he was asking the neighbors to call the police for him. Neighbor noticed he had duct tape around his hands and around his ankles and knew there was something. And the boy was very, very thin and he wanted something to drink, but he kept on saying, call the police, call the police. He was being held captive by a friend of this influencer and they were in it together and he was so malnourished and everything. And he was told, he was conditioned, if you escape and the police are going to come and get you because you're evil, you're a bad person, you better not say anything because you're a bad person. This is how Gypsy was conditioned, and everything she did reflected on what was being programmed into her. And that's the best way to put it. It was she was being programmed. So yeah, she goes, it's so sad how mentally screwed up she grew up to be because of how she was raised. And that's it. I mean, like if you watch her now, a lot of the things that she's saying and doing is very questionable. But then again, there's people that are raised under some circumstances, but they were going to school and stuff at the same time and they were able to get that education and learn, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. And they don't, but then they know they shouldn't do something, but they don't change because they're so conditioned to it. You take in perspective with her, she had no education, and the only person she really knew was her mother. She had her grandparents and that, but her main controller was her mother. And I think in the movie, her grandfather kind of questioned a lot of what was going on, but the mother kept on, hey, that's my daughter. I know what's wrong with her, and she kind of, she had so much control that she had everybody believing that all this was going on. And Gypsy really, if she did try to speak up, she got abused or she got even medicated even more. And like again, this is such a controversial topic that I just like the saying, if you walk a mile in her shoes, everybody has that breaking point. And yeah, she didn't actually, even though some people think that she did help with the stabbing. um, there is an interview, a actual footage from the interview of when they had him detained and they were questioning him. And they said, do you remember how many times you stabbed her? And he said, I remember stabbing her several times, but I only remembered the 4 stabs because he said when he stabbed her, he remembers he had a hard time pulling the knife back out because he hit the heart and like it stuck. And those are the four. That's why the number four just keeps on coming out. But he said he remembered stabbing her several times. So, but they're thinking that Gypsy did a lot of the stabbings too, that she wasn't actually in the bathroom. We'll never know. Nobody was there. But it's like the paranormal, if you want to switch that. A lot of people can suspect a lot of thing about the paranormal community and that, but unless you're there seeing it and hearing it with your own eyes and ears, you don't just debunk it or don't say something because you don't know, you weren't there. Mm-hmm. So everybody can suspect something, but that doesn't mean that those people are right. Only Gypsy and Nicholas know exactly what actually happened on that horrible night. So, anybody have any questions so far? Well, yeah, it's Kiwi said the king was visiting about your scratch. I don't know. Like Abby was sitting on the couch the other day and she just got this little scratch on her arm. And I said, Abby, you sure you didn't rub against something or bump something? And she goes, no.
I wouldn't be so freaked out over it. But the fact that a few nights prior, I was sitting in that same spot and Sia just kept on looking either above me or at me at nothing and just staring like into an abyss. And I'm like, Sia, what the fuck are you looking at? And she
almost went in a trance, like she was literally like,
yeah, I literally had to say her name like 3 or 4 times for her to finally get out of whatever trance she was in. And then I looked behind me and I didn't see anything and I didn't feel like there was anything there. And then today I literally just sit there and my face starts burning and I'm like, I thought, because I just got a FabFitFun box in. If you don't know what that is, it's a subscription on FabFitFun where you can get items like, I think 6 to 8 items, full-sized items for free, unless you buy add-ons. But my aunt signed me up for it for my 21st birthday.
Yeah.
My 21st birthday. And no, it wouldn't be 21st, it would be 22nd because 21st was in South Carolina. Yeah. So anyways, my 22nd birthday, and where was I going with this?
Oh,
and I got the box in and I was trying out some of the products and I was putting like them on my wrists and everything and I thought that I was having like an allergic reaction to something that I touched. So I went like this, but I could feel like that slight line right there. And I looked over at Abby. I was like, Abby, my face burns. Do I have a scratch? She's like, yeah, you do. And I was like, oh, great. That's just wonderful. How the f- did that happen? And I'm like trying to recreate it on this side with my nails to see if maybe I did scratch myself somehow.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, you made it red, but
yeah, I made it red, but like.
And Sia was staring up in that spot. Like I said, she was like almost like in a trance where they're like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? But that's where I had a camera facing that way one before and some real weird like orbs. And I use orbs. I know people don't like that, but they would just come out of nowhere and they would be really small. And then all of a sudden they just get really big.
You need to make the camera.
And then the one night it was almost like a misty type thing was going. Like, oh, my arm looks bad. Like across the top of the ceiling. It was just weird shit.
Autofocus this because it's kind of blurry a little bit.
I don't know if it'll work on YouTube.
Mom, it's our camera.
Yeah, well, there you go. That did go.
Ha.
Okay. Now with this on Gypsy, so that kind of recapped everything. Now, mind you, she was born in 2000. What did I say? She was born in 1991. And by the time Dee got murdered in 2015, she was still telling everybody that Gypsy was like 15 or 16 years old, even though come that time, Gypsy was an adult young lady. But she didn't even know until she come across, if on the show, if any of that is at one point she came across something and she started suspecting it, but her mom kept on lying to her. So
yeah, those acrylic or press-on nails don't really cut or scratch.
Yeah.
Well, I do sometimes have like sharp ones on, and I know because I'll go to like pick up a blanket or something, and it'll get caught on my nail. Or
your dad knows.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that. Or I accidentally scratch somebody or something with them. The other ones, those were my Halloween ones. Those were evil. But yeah, they're press-ons, but they're not sharp. So I don't know. I really don't know what happened.
So now you know the story of Gypsy. Of course, everybody, like I said, probably already heard about it before, and I just recapped the whole timeline. Now, we were sitting and watching this show on TV, and it was a series like of different crimes. I think it was called Evil in My House or something like that. Crimes where the perpetrator actually lived with the family member, was like a family member or close friend or something like that committing the crime. And we happen to come across the one here of Hannah Milbrandt. And Gabriella will go into that, and you'll see the similarities there. Now, thank goodness it didn't get to the extent of Gypsies, but you'll see Gabriella has that written down, and then we can talk about and debate between the what ifs and what nots and all that stuff.
I do have some timelines, but not as not. See, look, that's as far as it goes. I don't really have.
It's a newer case. We just found out about it.
I don't really have that much information on it. So, Hannah was just 6 years old when her mother sat her down and gave her devastating news that she was dying from childhood leukemia. Hannah, the 6-year-old, had fallen ill with a cold in 2001, and her mom took her to the doctors for a checkup. The next thing Hannah remembers is being wheeled into an MRI scan with no explanation. Hi, Ronan.
Yep. Hi, Ronan. I didn't want to interrupt you.
After a tense drive home, Hannah walked into her house where her dad, sister, grandparents, and neighbors were all waiting for them, pale-faced. Teresa, which is Hannah's mother, said, Teresa, a home care nurse, which is Hannah's mother, informed them that Hannah had been diagnosed with cancer. Everyday life was quickly changed. I had a piece of cheese on there. Everyday life quickly changed for Hannah. Her mornings started with a cocktail of drugs that made her feel groggy and dazed. Her mom took her to weekly chemotherapy sessions, which also started the same way, a trip to the local ice cream shop for a drink, after which Hannah would fall asleep on the journey to the hospital and wake up on the ride home. She'd wake in the car with a new plaster on her chest or arm, and her mom telling her how brave she was.
Now, Hannah, they did have an interview on there with her, and she was telling everyone, or the person that was interviewing her, she was saying that her mother said, okay, you need to go to the doctors today. Now, don't be afraid, and be brave. But she would drug her.
Yeah,
to take her to the doctors.
Well, I guess I'm not getting to that because I didn't mention that. But the ice cream, the drink that they got with the ice cream on their way to the doctors, her mom drugged her to make her think that she was going to a doctor's appointment, and then made her think that she slept through the doctor's appointment and they were on their way back home. So then it says, coming from a small town in Urbana, Ohio, everyone knew of Hannah's cancer diagnosis and rallied around the family. Hannah was forced to wear a face mask at school to protect her from germs and was given a special mini fridge in her classroom full of snacks to eat with her medication her mom had asked the teachers to give her throughout the day. People stopped them in the street, and while Hannah hated the attention, she says her mom thrived on it. April 2002. Around 2 months into her diagnosis, Hannah woke up one day to realize her entire head of hair was gone. This is a quote from Hannah herself. She said, "My mother soothed me as I sobbed, telling me that as she had warned hair loss was to be expected following chemotherapy and showed me the pretty new hat I could now wear."
Yeah, so I mean, we watched it as she looked at it and she said, "Well, honey, you know that you were going to lose all of your hair."
Yeah, she said, "I warned you this was going to happen."
Yeah.
Late 2002, after several months, Hannah was told her treatment wasn't working and her mom told her she may have just a few weeks to live. Hannah was devastated she'd have to leave her family, but just a few months later, December 2002, a suspicious teacher unveiled that Hannah never had cancer in the first place. A teacher noticed Hannah's short hair was cut evenly, even though in patients who undergo chemotherapy lose their hair in patches, and the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services were called to investigate. They came to the school and spoke to Hannah with her grandparents present before she was taken to their house to see her dad, Robert. He told her, "Hannah, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that Mom has done something very bad. She's been lying. The good news is that you don't have cancer and you're not going to die." Teresa, Hannah's mom, was also caught when the counselor Hannah was working with tried to put her forward for a charity that grants wishes to terminally ill children. Hannah explained, "She needed the name of my doctor for the application, only to discover the hospital had no records of me. That's when the police became involved." December 19th, 2002. Hannah is removed from her parents' house and placed in protective custody with relatives. 2004 to 2007, Hannah is in a foster home for a year before being placed in the custody of her Aunt Sue. And it looks like that's.
And then
Well, wait, I do it more.
So you can see so far there's similarities, but thank goodness. I mean, there's nothing good that ever comes out of this, but thank goodness for her. Within 18 months, this was all figured out, and this girl was told that she wasn't sick and all that. Where in the Gypsy Rose one, this was carried out for several years from the time she was a toddler, clear up until she was a young adult, but her mother still had her believing she was 15, 16 years old. So you can see the similarities, but the one big difference, thank goodness for this young lady here, Hannah.
January 16th, 2003, Teresa and Robert are arrested. September 24th, 2003, the Milbrants were sentenced. February 17th, 2010, Teresa is released from prison. And March 4th, 2011, Teresa is sentenced to an additional 10 months in prison for obtaining dangerous drugs through a forged prescription facilitated by her eldest daughter.
Oh, that's new. I didn't know that.
And then in 2017 is when Hannah actually shared her story.
Wow. See, the thing is that was the other similarity between Teresa. Teresa worked in healthcare, and she had the accessibility to get prescriptions and prescription drugs, and so did Dee Dee Blanchard. So in those cases, it made it pretty easy for them to drug up their kids and I'm going to say start the brainwashing technique and making them believe something that wasn't even close to being true on it. Unfortunately, the mother have made Hannah vanish. What do you mean, Linda? I think if she had her after she got exposed, she treated like she got mean.
The documentary is like the entire like her entire childhood and how Teresa treated her. She won't even call her mom. She calls her Teresa. Because of how bad she treated her. And then it's like her mom had this idea after treating her like shit because she was the youngest that she was going to use her instead of treating her shitty and made her feel like she was like the best thing ever because she was sick and had this illness, which was literally just a cold.
Yeah. Well, now, and the other thing in here is with Dee Dee, Gypsy was under her care all the time, and she was like the sole person in the house. So it was Gypsy and her mother. In Hannah's case, the father was involved, but he wasn't home a lot. I think they said he was a truck driver.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, even though he was home, he wasn't home because he was over the road most of the time. Now, what happened with him is when it came down to the gist and this all came out, they arrested both Teresa and her father, Robert, and they both ended up getting sentenced to jail the same amount of time. Now, Hannah was pretty upset by that because she wanted to go to trial and she wanted to talk to the court and that and say, hey, my dad had nothing to do with this. But he said that she had gone through enough.
Yeah,
he didn't want her to speak up.
She was able to go to the court and have a hearing and everything, but the dad was like, no, I can't let you do this. You've been through way too much. I'm not gonna let you do it. And she felt really bad because he got sentenced to jail for doing literally nothing.
But that's where, like Hannah, she said there was one incident there where the father came over and he was with her, and the mother she just got angry and she picked up a mirror and threw it at both Hannah and the father, and it broke all over and a big piece of it stuck in the wall.
He came home from work early one day and the mother didn't know, but she was having one of her temper tantrums and she was running around the house screaming about things not being clean and things like that. So when Hannah saw her father in the living room, she ran behind him and he didn't know what was going on, and the mother picked up the mirror, threw it at them, and it landed and stuck in the wall somehow. And that's when the father was like, that's kind of crazy.
That's when he kind of, I think, like he
was realizing
said, what's going on here. Well, what don't I know? What's going on here?
He was starting to understand what was happening behind closed doors when he was out of the house.
But that's where, like, both stories where the debates come in. Did he know more than what he's actually telling people? And at that point, why didn't he go and say, hey, I'm taking my daughter and removing her? You're literally almost killed us with a mirror here. But that's where a lot of this debate is coming in. But Hannah said her father was innocent, and she has a very close bond with her father now. So, like, it makes you wonder, like, because everybody has a habit right away. As soon as they hear a story, they accuse both parties. Oh, the dad knew something, the mother knew something. In a lot of cases, it is true, but
it is interesting how, even though he was gone all the time, when he came back, especially that one time with the mirror incident, how he didn't question anything, like her attitude changing, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of the controversy on this case is going to be similar to the one with Gypsy.
Well, it does say also on the one piece of paper that I have that that's not it. It's over here somewhere.
Yeah, this Cactus said, thank goodness for that observant teacher. You're not a kidding because,
Yeah,
and that's what we were talking about. This, thank goodness, came to a wrap in about 18 months, which is still way too long for a child to have to go through anything. But where Gypsy, it went from the time she was a toddler right straight up through 2015. And that's when she had her breaking point. And
yeah, okay, so early 2002 is when the deception begins following marital arguments. Teresa later claimed she faked the illness to prevent her husband Robert from leaving her.
oh, wow.
And then April 2002 is when she shaved Hannah's head, gives her sleeping pills, and forces her to wear a surgical mask and bandage over a fake port. And then late 2002, community members and businesses donated over $31,000 for Hannah's treatment. Hannah is even placed in counseling to prepare for death. And then December 2002 is when the teachers at North Elementary noticed that her hair was growing back evenly rather than patches.
Right.
And then an investigation by the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services begins.
Yeah, wow.
And then, yeah.
But see, these type of controversies like that, like I said, thank goodness that this one, like I said, 18 months was even too much, but thank goodness that one had a way better outcome than what happened with Gypsy Rose. But it takes you to cases like, which Gabrielle and I covered before, like, what's her name? Casey Anthony, and JonBenet Ramsey. There's so many flops on both sides of those, and so many suspicions, and both of them are still questionable. Pretty much the public has already fried. What's Casey Anthony's mother's name? I can't remember. So they pretty much fried her.
Casey is the mom. Kaylee is the kid.
Kaylee, yeah, Casey is the mother. Kaylee is the little child. But they pretty much fried Casey over that whole case. And same as like the whole thing with JonBenet. Gabrielle and I touched on it before. We were considering like re-bringing those cases up too. Kind of been a little hesitant because we think a lot of people won't like what we have to say. But at the same time, we did very in-depth research on these cases. We watched actual televised footage, and we watched certain people on some of those actual testimonies, and that very, very close. And there's some things that can be pointed out that most people aren't even talking about because they already, oh, Casey's she's a baby killer and this and that.
And again, but in these cases, we're not saying that she was right for what happened, because there's a lot during the entire case that she could have not
absolutely
did, and that would have prevented anything to ever happen. But we are saying who we believe the actual.
Here's the thing that we can tell you from what we watch. Don't go but just by stories and movies and video clips. Go by actual interrogation footage, because we watch. One thing that stands out in the Casey Anthony story is her dad programmed her to lie.
Mm-hmm.
And does it make anything she did right? No. There's a lot of things she did, partying when her kid was missing and all this and that. But you got to listen very closely to a couple. You got to listen very closely to her father at the funeral. You have to listen and watch when the reporter was doing the interview when they had the lie detector test done.
Mm-hmm.
There's very, very crucial things that you have to watch closely. Now, in that one, her father was a retired police officer. There are so many discrepancies, and he's a police officer. He can get away with a lot of stuff that most average, everyday people can't because he knows how to get around it. Mm-hmm. And there's certain things you have to watch very closely that he says. And when you pick those things up, you're going to start looking in a different way because he put himself up for suspicion so badly. And I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to come out. The father killed that little girl. Mm-hmm. Casey did not kill that little girl.
Yeah.
She knew about it, I think, eventually. And she did a lot of really dumbass, stupid things.
But she is also a victim.
Absolutely.
Like we said about the Gypsy Rose thing, it's not, it's not okay.
The body language and the facial cues. Go back if you guys can find it. Just do me a favor. We're not trying to. If you already have your mind made up, that's fine. That's your opinion. This is our opinion. Go back very closely though and watch, especially the lie detector. He's a police officer. He knows how to act during a lie detector test. Number one, when they took the mother in, she passed it with flying colors. Nothing to hide. She passed it with flying colors. When they took him in, and I don't know why they did it other than the fact that he was a retired police officer. I don't know. They gave him the lie detector twice. Mm-hmm. And the first time, it was so inconclusive
that his wife was even like, why is he moving around?
His wife looked at the reporter and said, why is he fidgeting so bad? Those are easy questions. He should be able to answer them real easily. Why is he fidgeting so much?
So when you get your wife suspicious that you might have done something, that's saying something.
And then they told him, and they said, well, we know that this thing is hard on you because it was your granddaughter and this. Absolutely, but if you didn't do anything, whether it was your granddaughter and you, I love my kids all to death, but I'll tell you what, if somebody murdered them and I was suspected of murder, it would be like that. There would be no fidgeting around and hee-hawing around. He was a freaking police officer. He knows how to act during a lie detector test. And I'm sorry, the guy failed the lie detector test, according to me. And that guy, I'm just leaving it there because I get fired up even thinking about some of the things that come out of his mouth that you have to watch really, really, really close.
They had to tell him multiple times to sit still. And he knew that because he was a police officer.
He knew. And let's just put it this way. What way to cover up a perfect crime? His daughter, she said that there was things about him that, because that family had this squeaky clean image because he was a retired, at that time he was a police officer and then became retired. He had to keep his image going. So there's things going around. Apparently she said how we think Kaylee died. There were similarities that she said he did to her when she was young. And if she was about ready to squeal and say, hey, and he stopped her and said, like, I know what happened. He's a police officer. What better person to be able to cover up a crime and put the blame on somebody else, even if it's your own daughter? And they'd say, but that was his daughter. Why would he do it? Well, she was ready to spill dirt and start squealing on his perfectly squeaky clean image. Daughter or not, who would suspect a mother of having their daughter's teeth pulled out and shaving their head and making them believe they're dying of cancer? Parents do stuff like that, which is horrible and unforgiving, but who could do it better than a retired police officer? I'm just telling you,
yeah, you guys, you need to watch the Casey and Anthony case because it's not just a documentary, but it's literally some of the court things and the funeral
You have to watch him very closely. Watch the father very close.
Plus interviews and everything else.
The lawyer that represented Casey, he took her in. She was living with him for a while, him and his wife. And he believed her the whole time. And he brought up a lot of this stuff, and they threw it aside like, well, they didn't even want to listen to a lot of this stuff here. And, it's the same as the Pat Ramsey thing. I'm not saying, and God rest her soul, she's gone, she can't speak, but there's too many suspicious things about her. And one thing that stuck out and people were bringing up, and Call Me Chris brought it out, and Call Me Chris said the same thing. She said, I'm not saying Pat did it, but she said the ransom note. In the ransom note, it was a specific amount, which ironically was like from an insurance policy or something like that. Plus, when they reviewed the ransom note really close, the way the letter A's was written in that note, when they did the handwriting analysis of Patsy, there was a lot of things that matched perfectly, and that was not brought up in court. I'm not saying she did it, but I'm saying there was no signs of breaking in that house. She knew who did it. She set it up, and she probably let them in the house so they could commit that crime. My opinion, and that's my opinion. But whole other show. So
for another time.
But we segued again. But it does all tie together. Like a lot of people, they're really judging Gypsy right now because of her behavior now. But then when you take in perspective, she had no formal education. She was brainwashed and told she was sick and dying.
And immediately after she got out of jail, everybody wanted to know, like, her side of the story and everything. So she was immediately thrown into interviews and TV shows and everything else. She's like, she'll never get a break because of what happened.
And she admitted, and the whole thing they're saying, well, she
blame her for what happened when you're being treated.
Well, I love the people that saying, well, why didn't she say something? Or, well, I think she had part of the murder. She knew what was going. Yeah, she did. She planned it. She said she planned it. She planned it down to the last detail how it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. She planned how he was going to show up at the door. She was going to have the door unlocked. She had where the knife was going to be, and
she
everything.
Had the gloves on the porch.
Yeah, she even said in detail how she had it all planned. Like, so, I mean, I don't know why they're saying, oh yeah, she had a part of it. Yeah, she said she had part of it.
That, like I said to Abby the other day, the only reason that it's coming back is because people are finding the tapes of her when she was sending videos to Nick Godejohn or whatever the fuck his name is. And that was with her second personality, Ruby. And the only reason she had a second personality was because of Nick.
Yep.
She would have never thought to have had that until he had his evil second personality. Yep. And so she was like, well, you know what? I got Nick, so Nick's personality can have Ruby. And
see, that's the one thing, I'm not saying, like, we're not trying to change anybody's mind on anything or that, but Gabrielle and I, we're good at it. And I'm not saying we're better than anybody else and, this and that. No, because you're going to come to your own opinion no matter what. And that's good. And we would never criticize you for your opinion. But Gabrielle and I go back, and we don't go back once, but we'll go back several times. And there's little details that you pick up. And after we rewatched the Casey Anthony story, we started picking up on some of these things. Whoa, wait. Let's rewind this. And
when we first saw the Casey Anthony thing, we thought that
what a hag
it was her.
Yeah, what a bitch.
We really thought that it was her. But then you start listening to the documentary and listening to her and watching the interviews that they had with her parents and all the other things in there, and then you're like, wait a minute.
In every interview they always had with the father, he was always fidgety. Why would he be fidgety? He's a police officer. If he has nothing to hide and he knew nothing, why was he always so fidgety at every time? And some of the comments that come out of his mouth,
that one comment like haunts me because
it just
no grandparent would say anything like that to their grandchild or about their grandchild, especially now that they're deceased.
Yeah, they're deceased grandchild. There's just too many things that I'm telling you, I'm going to say it. He took that little girl's life and he set up his daughter because he had the capability of doing it. He was a retired police officer. I think she was ready or not ready. I think he knew she knew too much dirt on him and could expose his squeaky clean way of life. Mm-hmm. And what better way? And she was already living a careless life as it was anyhow. She was lying about a lot of stuff already, which he programmed her to lie because obviously he's a pretty damn good liar.
Yep.
And I don't know. It's just like I said, you guys watch it, come to your own conclusion. I'm not trying to sway you either way. If you still think she's 100% guilty, I respect you and admire you for it. But I'm telling you, my deep gut feeling, and I don't think she did it. I think eventually he came out and she found out exactly what had happened because the whole swimming pool thing doesn't add up either. And I don't know. It'll eventually maybe come out, but in the meantime, she has to live with knowing that her little baby now would have been a young woman and could have been living a beautiful life and had children of her own, and it was snuffed away from her and she was a baby. And that's what the whole saddest thing about this whole thing is a young baby's life was snuffed away unnecessarily. Mm-hmm. And now, if it was an accident, if it wasn't intentional, then that could have come out too. But the way the circumstances are and made her look like she cold-bloodedly did that, I don't know. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. It's same as this whole Gypsy Rose thing. Yeah, Gypsy, it's horrible. But she said on countless interviews, she said, if I could turn back the clock and go a different route, knowing everything that I know now that she's more educated, I don't think she would have taken that route. But she met Nick.
I said, that she felt like that was her only way to escape because every time that she's tried prior, she got brought back to the house by Dee Dee.
And beaten and abused even more.
And abused and handcuffed and everything else. So.
Yeah, and Eric said they say you never get a second chance at a first impression, and her dad's first impression was horrible. It is. And the most unforgiving thing of all, the funeral comment and the lie detector test, to the point where his own wife said, why is he fidgeting so much? Those are easy questions. Why can't he sit still? Why is he fidgeting? His own wife said that. And as a police officer, he knows to stay very calm, cool, and collected during a lie detector test. And yet they gave him a second chance too. Why? If he fidgeted in that and it was flaring, then that should have been conclusive right there. Like, hey, he's lying. Just my opinion, though, folks. That's the way it is.
That's the theme of tonight, children who were denied certain possibilities by how they were brought up.
Exactly. So, like I said, we kind of segue, but it does all tie in because when you look at it, it's not the adults, it's the children that's paying the price for it. We got two children here, different circumstances, but still similar. One ended up going to jail because of what had happened, and the other one, thank goodness, it ended after 18 months, but it could have went in that direction. And then on the other one, we have a child that could have had a promising future, and she's not here to be able to live that future. It's just heartbreaking either way, and it's it's just sad. But now to change the subject completely, either this Thursday on Real Talk or next Thursday. I'm going to let it up to Gabriella because I've already got pretty much stuff on it. I don't know what she got. We will be covering the Enfield poltergeist from England.
I don't have anything yet because I want to find like videos and stuff.
I have kind of a timeline. No, it's funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. Anybody that knows anything at all about that story, of course, it was the second Conjuring movie, and it was taking place in England, of course. There's a character in there that's very important in that movie, and his name is Bill Wilkins. She can do a Bill Wilkins like you will not believe. So I told her, so when we're covering this story, she's going to have to do her Bill Wilkins.
She's going to force me.
Yes, I am. I'm going to force her to do it. It's funny, but she nails it. She really does. But yeah, we're going to go, like, we will let you know tomorrow. Yeah. So if it's not this Thursday, it'll be next Thursday. We'll just have to come up with something on Thursday. I did, however, something popped up on my Facebook. Oh, no. It wasn't on Facebook. It was in my news.
Let's hear it. No, not yet. Not yet. I'm not doing it earlier than I have to.
You want to?
I want to right now. I'm tired.
Okay, because it's cool. You're gonna love it. I mean, and she nails it. Anyhow, I was on my news feed. It came up that there was another case of an abduction, and it took place in the 70s. For some reason, I'm thinking it was either 72 or 77. For some reason, 77 is sticking out in my head, but I'm not sure. But anyhow, it showed up on my news feed, and it took place. It was a bunch of fishermen, and they all claimed that they got abducted by aliens, and things happened. And they really didn't speak about it too much because back in the 70s, when you start telling people that you got abducted by aliens, they're going to be coming with the little white jackets on, taking you away. And so a lot of people really didn't come out. They might say, hey, I saw a UFO, but to say you actually got abducted, you just didn't do that. So anyhow, now that more and more alien stories and abductions and everything and that come out, this story is resurfacing apparently, and these fishermen are from Ohio, which I found ironic because the article says that if you're going to get abducted by an alien, go to Ohio, because Ohio seems to be carrying most of the alien abductions. No, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what that article said. So, but I guess they're coming out and they're saying details that I'm going to see what I can find on that story, and if I can find enough, we can do a show on that, and maybe that one could be our Thursday show if she doesn't think she's ready. But like I said, I already got all my information for that. We're just waiting for her to do her research. So
the reversible white.
Yeah, the ones that tie in the back, and they have their little buckles on there. My brother brought him, which I don't call my brother anymore because he was a piece of shit. But anyhow, he brought home a straitjacket one time, and we were all putting it on, and we was trying to see if we could get
I think in school, for some reason, there was somebody with the straitjacket, and they had us try to take it off.
They put it on. I had them put it on me, and I got out of it. And I think they had it tight, but I was built like you, and I was able to kind of.
Well, it's like if you're able to get one arm over, then you're free pretty much.
I was able to maneuver out of it.
Yeah, once you can get that one arm over, you're pretty much free. So
that's kind of where the story was. I hope you guys liked the topic tonight. I know it was a little different. It's kind of a depressing topic, but I think stories like this, it's really important that we cover, because if anything else, if you know someone and you're seeing any of these signs that could help save a child.
This is what I always say. I say, if there's somebody that acts like they're so sweet and special and like above everybody and has a perfect life, watch them. Just watch them.
And especially if children's involved, like you really do have to, and it's sad that you have to say that, but if anything like this that we cover can give like Tom kind of gets mad a little bit sometimes because he says, why are you guys watching that? Like we watch a lot of trial cases and stuff and documentaries. And I'm there like, hon, we got daughters, we got kids, we got Eric. If anything that we see could,
like Linda said up there, true crime is fascinating.
Yeah, and if any one little thing could stick out that you might pick up on by somebody that can help save somebody from being in a situation, like it's like the signs now where they say if you go in the mall and somebody has their hand behind their back and does that signal on that, they're in distress, they need help. If anything like that
that's like
pinpoint,
bartenders, they are being told a new like code word for people if they need help. It's called an angel shot. If you're told that
give me an angel shot,
if you're told give me an angel shot, that means domestic violence.
Oh wow.
It means that you're in trouble, but you can't let that person know.
And I think that's where these shows like this is so important. Yeah, we don't have a big audience, but if even one person that may
Hi, cactus.
We'll see a cactus. Even if one person picks up and sees a sign of something because they watched our show, if it helps somebody, well then we already served what we wanted to do. So
because it's not like we do it for joy or entertainment or whatever. It's literally to watch out for the signs that somebody might do.
We should have put that as a hashtag, awareness or something, that because like what we're probably going to do is like on Tuesdays we'll probably have fun and serious both, like a combo of both. And then, of course, on Thursdays, we'll have our more towards the paranormal part, plus our universal yum. So on both shows, we'll have that little bit of balance, a little bit of fun, a little bit of seriousness, a little bit of fun, a little bit of eeriness. So that way we have it all well balanced and trying to get these shows up. And like we said, now with what we got, we have this wonderful investigation coming up here on March 14th. And we can't thank everybody enough for tuning in. And well, I don't know. Do you guys think this just going straight through YouTube like this is a better format for us, or does it seem like it's a clearer, better picture and volume, or what?
Red flag awareness is vital.
It is. It is.
My biggest thing is when you're in like a situation, like kind of like a kidnapping situation or something. It doesn't bother me or anything, but like, how do people not feel like I feel the energy of other people? I don't know if that's for everybody, but I feel like, especially if you're a woman and you just met a person and they seem out of the ordinary or out of like too nice or something, you should have that red flag in your head going, there's something wrong here. I know I would. There's actually a few people in South Carolina that I stopped hanging out with because I started getting those red flags, and I was like.
And keep in mind, guys, like I said, when we say something, and we're not trying to sway anybody or anything, but Gabrielle and I, we're not like bragging or trying to like make ourselves better.
And we're not claiming to be psychics either.
But we seem to always pick up on very small details or something, a feeling even that maybe somebody else didn't. And I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of times when we get these feelings or these little details, I'm going to go back. I'm going to rewind way back. If anybody remembers the Susan Smith story where she got and she put her, I hate, and I get upset by it. I had a friend that actually was serving time with her after she committed this crime. She's one that put her boys in the back seat, in their car seat, in the car, and drove the car off into the water. And she tried to blame that the car was stolen and they was in. And right from the get-go, everybody says, oh, I said the mother did it. There was just signs that the way she was talking, expressions, different things. She did it. And everybody said, Diane, why is it always that the mother did it, mother did it, mother did it? Because she's grieving. Her boys are gone, and I'm telling you, the mother did it. I don't like that I have to say it, but the mother did it. And sure enough, when all the pieces came together, they found out that she did it. And they're like, I don't like saying the words I told you so, but Gabriella and I are very, very good for picking up little tiny details and different things.
It could even just be somebody's body language, like they're getting a little bit too close to a person, or they're like shifted a different way, or there's like subtle signs that you can pick up of a person that's not of the right mind. And
who else did we pick it up about personally this past year? There's 2 people that's involved right now in a situation we were in that turned bad, and our gut feeling and these little signs showed up, and we knew they were there, but we still stayed and pursued our dream.
Yep.
And we ended up right about that too.
Yep.
And Abby was right, because Abby had that same feeling, especially about the second half. But we just have that uncanny knack for it. And it's not always good, because in cases like the Casey Anthony thing, I'm telling you, go back and watch some of those things we brought out. And if you still feel the same, hey, good for you. That's fine. We respect you for that. But we just want to ask the same thing. Please respect us for our opinion too. And with that, I'm going to get our closing thing here, and we're going to call it a night. We have here, so we looked into 2 stories tonight. One that ended in a bedroom with a knife, and one that may have ended very differently because someone stepped in. The case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard shocked the world. But the deeper shock, the patterns weren't unique. Control disguised as care, isolation disguised as protection, illness that keeps a child dependent, a parent who becomes the hero and the gatekeeper. And when the truth lives behind closed doors long enough, desperation grows, anger grows, escape starts to look impossible. So the real question isn't just what happened. The real question is, how many other roses are growing in silence right now? Because every rose may be beautiful, every rose may be delicate, but every rose has its thorn. And sometimes the thorn draws blood. And with that, folks, we're going to say good night. Thank you for showing.
Empaths and psychics are incredibly close in their abilities. I just wish that everybody would have that ability, especially females. Like, I feel like a lot of females have that sense in danger and something off about somebody, like with their intuition. But most of the cases that you see are these females meeting up with some random person and something bad happening.
So, but we can, if you want us to further discuss some of these in the future, just let us know. And again, on that, we're going to say good night. Thank you for joining. We will catch you Thursday on Real Talk. And we love you guys. Take care. And we will see you next time on the other side. Bye-bye, guys. There we go.